channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this two-step layer dress. So I'm going to start with the top part. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut your fabric into two. So I have my front bodice and my back bodice. So the width I'm using here is the widest part of the body, which is the bust, divided by 4 plus extra 1 inch for my seam allowance on the side. And then I have my back panel, which is this with the zip allowance. So we're going to start inserting our measurement. So whenever I'm putting in my measurement, remember it's just from my front bodice, which is here. My back bodice is extended. So I'm going to put in shoulder divided by 2, which is going to be 8 for me. My shoulder is 16 divided by 2, that's 8. Because this is going to have a sleeve, I'm going to insert my armhole divided by 2, which is going to be 10. I'm going to mark that here. And then I'm going to come up here, insert my armhole, come down by 1 inch by my shoulder slope here, and then come in here, put in my neckline. I'm going to make it 3 by 3 inches here. So you're going to go ahead, and then I'm going to connect this 1 inch of shoulder slope to this top part here. You're going to go ahead and measure what you want your front neckline to be. If you the V you want, you're going to measure what you want it to be. So I'm going to use like about 9 inches here, and then I'm going to extend it a little bit. So this is going to be my, if you want, you can make it like a straight sharp V. If you want, you can just curve it in a little. So I'm going to just give it a little curve for this one here. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in my neckline for the back, which is going to be just 1 inch connected up to this point here. Come down here, insert your waist measurement. So my waist I'm working with is 36 divided by 4. That's going to be about 9 inches plus extra 2 inches, 1 inch of darting and 1 inch of seam allowance. That's going to be 11. I'm going to mark that here. And then I'm going to connect it all the way to my bust line, which is going to be the same line as this armhole. So now all I have to do is to go ahead and cut this out, cut this down, out this way and down here. So guys, I've cut out my neckline. This is the back, so I'm going to just split it open. So I'm going to have 2 back panel and 1 front panel. So 2 back panel, 1 front panel. So I'm going to just say what you have to do for the darting. I'm going to just go ahead, divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2. So for me is 8 divided by 2 is 4. Mark it here, and then my dart is going to stop. My shoulder to bust is about 11 inches, and then your dart is going to stop 1 inch before that, so that means my dart will stop at 12. So somewhere here I'm going to extend this all the way to this top here. Mark half an inch on the side, half an inch on this side, and then blend it in. So this is my bust dart, and then this dart is going to extend all the way to the back, right? So I'm going to just notch it and know it's going to extend all the way to the back. But at the back, my dart is going to stop at somewhere. So my dart is going to come up to somewhere at 9, your chest line. So that's where my dart is going to extend. So my dart at the back is going to go all the way somewhere here, half an inch on each side, and then blend in this way. So you see, this is going to be my back dart. So now we're going to move over to cut our bottom flay. To cut the bottom flay, and to determine the bottom flay, what you have to do is your shoulder to your waist. So let's say you have your shoulder to waist measurement, right? So this is your top bodice, right? The fitted part that we already cut. Now we need to determine the first layer, the flay that we need for this here, right? So what you're going to determine the full length you want the flay to be, you're going to measure from your shoulder to the end of the dress. So you have your full length now, and then you're going to subtract your shoulder to your waist from it. That way, whatever you get, you subtract, you take your shoulder to the length you want, maybe your knee, and then you're going to subtract your shoulder to your waist from it, and then whatever you get is going to be this bottom part here, right? So my dress length, I want it to be 37. I'm going to subtract my shoulder to waist, which is 17 from it. That way I'm going to have 20 inches left. 20 inches is going to be the bottom flay. There are 2 different ways to do this here, right? You can cut 2 circles. The one inside is going to be the full length of your dress, right? The full length of the bottom you want. Like let's say I want the bottom flay to be 20. So there are 2 ways to do this bottom flay. You can go ahead, cut one flay to be one whole circle skirt to be 20 inches length. That will be the inner flay. So you can go ahead and cut this circle underneath to be 20 inches of length. You're using the whole fabric to go inside of it without using lining, and then you're going to cut a shorter one and place on top of it. Maybe make the shorter one about 14 inches on top, and then you have the longer one 20 inches. So you're going to cut a skirt 2 times. That will be a lot of fabric. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one flay skirt, like one skirt this way, and then divide it into 2, and then use the one at the bottom and attach it to a lining, if that makes sense. So I'm going to, instead of cutting 2 skirts and joining the 2 of them together, one going inside of it, I'm going to just cut one whole long skirt that is going to be longer than the length that I need, right? The skirt I'm going to cut is going to be longer than what I actually need. Like I need 20 inches here, but I might cut about 28 inches, and then I'm going to split it into 2, and then one of them is going to be my top layer and one of them is going to be my bottom layer. That way I don't have to cut, but the bottom layer I'm going to just take it and attach it to a lining. That way it's going to seem like it's two steps, but the one underneath is attached to a lining, if that makes sense. So that's the method I'm going to be using in this video. So let's go ahead now and start cutting what we need. So guys, what I'm going to do now is, you see, I folded my fabric how I'm going to cut it. So this is basically folded into 2. So I'm going to tell you guys how I got the width here that I'm using. So how you're going to get the width that you're going to fold, because this is almost more than 2 years folded into 2. So I folded about 37.5 inches. That's what I need in total for the length here, into 2. So it's like more than 2 yards of fabric folded into 2 all the way down, just like how you fold a Ankara fabric, right? You see it here. So let me tell you guys how you're going to get the calculation to fold. So guys, how you're going to get the calculation you need. So guys, you're going to take your waist measurement, you're going to add your zip allowance. Don't forget your zip allowance, right? And then you're going to divide it by, so let's say the total I got is 36 divided by, that's my waist plus my seam allowance, 2 inches of seam allowance. You're going to divide it by 3.14, right? So let me take mine now and then open up. So I'm going to take 36 divided by 3.14. So I have about 11.5. So 11.5 is going to be the waist I'm going to cut out. So I'm going to leave this aside. Now I've gotten the width I'm looking for, right? So the next thing I have to look for now is my length. So for the length, what you're going to do is, I've already told you guys, I want my bottom to be 20 inches of length. The bottom length to be 20 inches. So what I'm going to do now is that 20 inches here, I'm going to split it how I want it to be. So it depends on you what you want yours to be. If you want the top to be 15 inches and then the lower part is going to be like, if I make the top part 15 inches, then the bottom is going to be like 5 inches, right? I'm talking about using 20 inches to determine this width, the length I'm working with here. It depends on you what you're going to use yours. I'm going to just make mine like 14 inches on top, and then I'm going to make the bottom one 16 inches at the lower one. So altogether I'm going to still have my 20 inches. So now we are going to add the seam allowances you will need. For the top, for this top flare, you need half an inch to join it to the top of the dress, and then you need 1 inch to fold the rough end. So in total you need plus 1.5, right? And then the bottom flare, you need 1 inch to fold the rough end, and then you need half an inch to join it to the lining underneath. So that's going to be also 1 inch plus 1.5 is going to plus 0.5. That's going to also be plus 1.5. Then this bottom layer, you will not just go ahead and attach this right where this top layer stops. You need it to go in a little, since we are going to have our lining coming down. You don't want where the lining meets this second layer to be visible. You want it to move up a little bit inside of the cloth, right? So that it's not visible when the wind blows. So let's say you go up by 3 inches inside, if that makes sense. So we are going to add 3 inches to this length so that it can go inside of this cloth, so that even if the wind blows and takes off this top layer, what you're seeing might be about that 3 inches, except the wind is like so heavy. But in this instance, we're just saying use 3 inches, or you can use 4 inches if you have enough fabric, if you don't want it any stories. So I'm going to just use 3 inches for mine because my fabric is small. So that's going to be extra 3 inches added to my length. So in total now what I have is 14.5 plus 6.5. So this in total is going to be about 23. right? Plus another 3 inches of this. 3 inches is for taking this inside. That's going to be another 3 inches. So this is going to be 26. So the total length I'm going to need to fold my fabric is going to be this 11.5 of the waist, this 23, and then this 3 inches. In your own case, it can be 4 inches, it can be 5 inches if you want it to go all the way up. So that means what I'm going to need in total, everything, this plus this plus this, is going to be 37.5. So my fabric that is folded now is 37.5. So now we're going to go ahead and cut everything out. So guys, like I said, you're going to fold your fabric into 2, right? You see mine is folded into 2, and the width I have here is that 37.5 that I calculated already. So what I'm going to do now is just to take my tape and place it at one angle, and then I'm going to mark 37.5 all the way down to the end. So I'm going to just keep on marking 37.5 all the way to the end. So guys, as you can see, I've marked out my 37.5 all the way to the end. So now I'm going to take my scissors and cut this out. So guys, now that we've cut this out, we're also going to go ahead and cut out I'm putting that 11.5. So now is where you're going to put in that 11.5 so that you get the opening of the waist. So I'm going to mark 11.5 from this same angle again, 11.5, 11.5 all the way around. So guys, now that we have this here, we are going to determine the length we want this top part to be, and then we're going to cut it out and then leave the rest for the bottom. So let's go ahead and trace that. So like I said before, my top part is going to be, I said I want the top to be 14 and then the bottom is going to be 6. So this 14 inches, I'm going to just add 1.5 to it when cutting it out. So this first layer is going to be 14, this second layer is going to be 6 inches of length. But remember, there's still going to be extra 3 inches and extra 1.5 added to it. So, but this 14 first layer is going to be 14 inches plus 1.5, which is going to be 1 inch of folding the end and half an inch of this top part. So I'm going to take it and trace out 15.5, which is going to be my 14 inches plus that 1.5 that we added to it is going to be 15.5. So I'm going to take my tape, mark where 15.5 is, which is somewhere here. And then you're going to add that 15.5. So you're going to take your tape again, place it back at this point. So which means it's 28 that I'm looking for, right? So I'm going to take my tape and start marking it out. Let me say it again. That 15.5 that you got, which is the first layer or whatever you decide to be the first layer, where you marked, because remember, if I cut this out now, this is my waist. So I'm going to take my tape, place it where my waist is, and then check where 15.5 falls in. And it falls in right at this point here. So now I'm going to take back up my tape again, and then use that, whatever I got when I placed my tape at this top, which is about 28 inches. I'm going to use that 28 inches to cut out all the way around, just to mark my tracing all the way around. So guys, now you see we've divided everything. So what we have now left is our 6 inches that is going to be the length of this here, and then plus that extra 3 inches for the top part, and then we have 1.5 inch for this bottom part. So that's what contains this last line. This here is just the 14 inches that is going to be left, plus 1.5, which is 1 inch of folding the top and half an inch of joining it to the inside. And then this here is what we're going to cut out as our waist. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this part out, and then I'm going to trace out our lining. So guys, you see I've separated the layers, so I'm going to just go ahead and dispose of this. This is not part of our length. Then this is our second layer, the first layer. This is the last layer, right? So our lining is only going to be this layer. So I'm going to trace a layer from this lining. Make sure to use the color that fits your cloth, but I only have this at the moment. So cut out this particular pattern in a lining. Don't cut out this one, just this one here. So guys, you see I've cut out my lining and I've cut out the pattern. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take this here. Don't forget to notch the center of this, so that you halfway through, notch it so that you don't make mistake. Notch halfway through this one too, and also your lining inches, because remember you have 1 inch of folding the end, which is attached to this, right? Because the end of this here has 1 inch to fold the end. So you have 1 inch to fold the end, and that, remember, you trace the lining with the length of this one here. You trace your lining with the length of the fabric, the first layer. So because of that, your lining also has 1 inch of folding the edge of your lining. So you're going to come up, maybe if you want, you can attach it before folding the ends of your lining. If you want, you can attach it ahead of after you've joined this. But remember, you're going to come up 4 inches, because you still need that 1 inch to fold the end of the lining too. So you're going to bring this in and join it all the way, so that when you're done joining it, this one is going to flap over, and then you're going to have your full length, if that makes sense. So now I'm going to go ahead and join mine, and then I'm going to at the moment. So you see the inside here. So I first folded my 1 inch of this part here, and then I joined it in. So you see, and when you're joining it, you might find that this one here is wider, so you might just give it a little pleat as you're going. So you see, this is it here. So now you see where my lining is at the moment. So what I have to do now is to take this one now and join it to the waist here. So once I join this to the waist now, this is covering this part. So you see I have that 3 inches distance. That's why I was trying to explain to you guys, if you feel like 3 inches is not enough for you, but I feel like it should be enough if you're using like a black line and it won't matter, you can go ahead and make yours like 4 inches, but I think this is okay. So this is what it will look like for the bottom of the dress. So I'm going to go ahead now, join this top part here to the lining. So you see, open it up this way, take this lining now and put it inside of this here and join it to the waist all the way around, and then I'm going to join the body to my dress. And also make sure you cut the sleeve so that you can attach it, except you want yours sleeveless. This is it here. I've gone ahead, so I use bias for my neckline, but you know you can always use lining also. So or you can use interface. So but I use bias. I added sleeve to it. I lost the clip of where I was cutting my sleeve, so but it's just like cutting a basic sleeve. I decided not to make mine like a long sleeve. I made it a 3/4 sleeve, and then this is the body of the dress here. So I joined it to this here. So if I open it up, you see my lining, you see where I joined it here, and then look at the back. So at the back here, all I did is just to pull everything into the seam. So you see, I just joined everything. The one line of the opening is at the back, so everything came from the front coming to the back. So this is the back seam, and this is where my zip allowance is. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my zip, and then so I'm just going to add this zip here, and that will be it. So you see, that's basically how I'm going to. So I'm going to join mine now. So guys, this is what it looks like. You see, I've added my zip. So this is it here. So I'm going to turn it around so you can see the back. So you see my back here. This is my zip. This is the 2 dots at the back. See what the back pattern looks like. So the flay enters into this center line at the back. So this is the seam inside. You see? So this is what it looks like. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Bye.